Hey guys, I'm the Flying Hunter, and today I'm going to do my review on the 124 scale Waltersons Forces of Valor M4A3 Sherman infrared battle tank. Now, I'm going to show you what's in the box, show you the minor details of the tank and other accessories, do a driving demo, and then give you my opinion. Starting with what you get in the box, you get the tank itself, an infrared target, which requires 2 AAA batteries, transmitter, obviously for controlling the tank, a hull-mounted machine gun, some sandbag hull details, some spare track links, and an infrared dome, and a quick start and owner's manual. Now you need to supply your own batteries with this tank. It takes 10 AA batteries total, which costs about $10 on top of the already pretty expensive $130 price tag. Moving on to the tank itself, you've got really nice armor texture all around the tank, as well as a nice dirt paint job. Now the tracks are molded in brown, they're not painted brown, so don't worry about scratching them. It's got some just really nice attention to detail. For instance, you've got the little specks of dirt on the fenders here and on the headlights. You've got the nice armor texture on the front plate and on the turret. You've got darker paint on the vent to depict some sort of grease or grime, which is really nice. The detail on this tank is really nice. You've got the number, they put the number behind the tank, the dirt detailing, I think, to make it look more realistic, but I do know that there is a version of this particular RC model that came out in just green without the dirt camo. Not dirt camo, the dirt detailing. So this might just be a retool of that tank. I'm pretty sure it is. So moving on to the other details of the tank, you've got some molded details. You got some shovels here, and just all the some hatches are molded. Mostly on the turret, you've got actually opening hatches. So you've got the loader's hatch that opens. Come on, there we go. But it doesn't really lead to anywhere because that's where you stick your included figurine. But you can close them if you don't want them open, and you can open them if you want them open. They are relatively easy to get open so long as you have some fingernails. They're plastic, just like the rest of the tank. Next to the hatches is the infrared dome, which you get an extra one of these just in case it pops off. The health indicator for the infrared battle system. There's a red light on the front of the turret to indicate when it's firing. And you've got the aluminum barrel with the infrared emitter at the end. Moving on to the suspension, you've got 3 bogies per side with an idler back here and a front drive sprocket back here. Now, I want to note that a lot of 124 scale cheap RC Shermans have the drive sprocket at the back. Now, it's supposed to be at the front. It's supposed to be at the front. Just remember, it's supposed to be up here, not back here. So if you've ever seen one of these, a 124 scale Sherman for sale, with the drive sprocket at the rear, that is not accurate. The idler is supposed to go here, and this is not powered. This is just simply to support the track. The suspension is completely functional with spring. Each bogie is individually articulated and sprung. So you've got springs in each of the wheels, so it corresponds to the terrain in a realistic way, which is fantastic. Other than that, there's not really much else to talk about with this. Now, I'm going to move on to the controller. Now, this is the transmitter that comes with the tank. It is a Toro 124 scale and 172nd scale standard transmitter. There's nothing really that exciting about it, at least compared to the tank. And you've got a myriad of buttons that do many different things. You've got the trim buttons up here. If you hold both of them, that turns the headlights off. Got the 2 control sticks here. You've got the on-off switch here. And as you saw, if you turn it on, this lights up and it gives you certain status indicators. So this at the bottom, that is your engine indicator light. So that tells you if the tank is even on or running. One of these is your gun. I think this one's your gun. This one's your machine gun. And I think that one's your health. So, I mean, the instructions say more about this, so I guess read the instructions. You've got the team indicator here, which is pretty good. You've got the volume selector here, which is a very welcome addition The volume settings are pretty nice. They're like pretty evenly spaced or pretty cleverly spaced. And you've got just the Forces of Valor logo with the middleweight tanks thing on it, as well as the 2.4 gigahertz thing up here. You've got the 2 bumper buttons here, as well as the screwed battery compartment and the grips on the back. This is a fairly ergonomic controller, and as a size comparison, here is a Xbox One controller. This is the very old one, but here it is for a size comparison. And the last thing I want to talk about before I get to the driving demo is this. This is the infrared target. Now, I will demonstrate this more in the driving demo, but effectively what this is a infrared target that makes sounds. So you turn it on, and when you shoot it with a tank, it makes a noise. So now let's get to the driving demo. Before you can drive this tank or even operate it in any way, you need to install the 6 AA's in the tank and 4 in the controller, and if you want to use the target, you need 2 AA's for that. You've got to turn on the controller, and then you have to turn on the tank. When you turn on the controller, the lights should proceed as follows. This one should be green, this one should be red, this one should be red as well until you press this button. When you turn on the tank, the headlights should come on, as well as the green health indicator light on the top of the tank. To turn on the tank, you simply press this button, or, which I find this to be really awesome, is you can turn the turret, I think, while the tank is off. This is a very nice feature, which really adds to the realism and detail of this tank. So now let's get it started. To start it, you press this button, and this light should turn blue. And it makes the starting up and idling noise. To move forward, you use the left stick. To move backward, you push the left stick forward to move forward, and to go back, you pull it back. I know it looks like right on the screen, but if you're holding it, it's left. To turn the tank, you simply push the stick to whichever direction you want to go. It is proportional, so if you push it a little bit, it'll only go a little bit. If you push a lot, it'll turn a lot. It's not fast, but it is quite small, so it doesn't really meant to have high speed. You've got these bumper buttons, which fire the guns. One of them machine gun, the other one's a firing button. So it fires and it makes a little flash. And you can fire the machine gun, which just makes the machine gun firing noise. Now let's talk about this. This is the target. If you turn it on, you can put it there. You can align up the shot. Now, you can rotate the turret using the right stick. You can also elevate the gun. Now, this is one of my complaints with this tank, is the gun elevation is really weird. And I pushed it down and it went up, but because it's just a cycle, it's not, you can't tell it to go up and down. You pretty much just a cycle and you stop it where you want it to go. It's pretty easy to line up a shot with this tank. If you turn it on, it should be on. Yes, it is. And if you fire it, it makes a explosion noise for all intents and purposes. It has headlights on the front. If you want to turn those off, you just press both trim buttons at once, or hold them down for like maybe a second. To turn off the tank or turn off idling noise, if you just want to stay still, you turn it off. You can't drive it when it's off. You cannot. It loses all driving of the hull, but you can rotate the turret, which is really cool. I'm going to turn it back on because I need to drive it. Now, to adjust the volume, you press this button. There's a up volume button and a lower volume button. Or if you really want, you can have the sounds off. And now you can just hear the motors. Now, the tank is not really known for its cross-country capabilities, but let's give it a go. I have a stack of papers on my desk that I'm going to use as sort of mock terrain. Now let's see if the Sherman can get up this little mound of papers here. It's not even that tall. I mean, you can barely see it on camera, but it's about, here, let me see if I can get it on camera. It's about maybe to the, almost past its ground clearance. So let's give it a go. And as you see, the suspension really articulates over when you go over terrain, which is very, very cool. And as you can see, it's not heavy enough to like actually actuate the springs or like a real tank would, but it does articulate really nicely. And it is a very nice feature on something that is this size. So let me just drive it back to where it was. It can actually push around also a fair bit, but it does have plastic tracks. Here is a Kobe mouse. Probably one of the heaviest Lego tanks that I have ever held in my life. Okay, let's see if this thing can push it. This thing actually has a lot of power, but it does not have very much grip. So to understand what I mean, it does push it, but only slightly. So let me just prepare this mouse and push that aside. Now let me drive the tank back to where it was. That is another complaint I have. This turret rotation is very slow. Let me just get it back. All right. Now, on to my conclusion on this tank. Should you buy it or not? Well, this tank is really expensive for its size. $130 is a ton for something that is this small. However, you cannot find a Henglong tank for that price, and Henglong tanks are probably the cheapest you will find. Taijin, the entry Taijin tanks are $250. The cheapest Toro tank is like even more. So I would say this is probably the best bet if you want to get into serious RC tank. Like if you really, really love RC tanks, then I'd say get this if you can't stretch it for a Henglong. But if you do have the extra $50 to spend on like something like the Leopard 2 or the Pershing, I'd say get one of those because they're just a better all-around because they're a little more detailed, they're bigger, and they have really nice detail. So I hope you enjoyed this review. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later.